We now have an HTML form that can add a shirt to our PayPal shopping cart. Let's integrate that functionality into our site. The shirts listing page contains a list of all our shirts. Each shirt should link to another page that contains more details about that shirt. We have 8 shirts in the catalog right now, so you might think we'd need to create 8 new pages. But those 8 pages would all have the same layout and functionality. Instead of duplicating the code across multiple pages, let's instead create a single template file that can power all 8 of these shirt detail pages. Open up your htdocs directory in your text editor. Let's create a new file for the shirt detail page. I named the shirts listing page shirts.php in the plural form. Let's call the shirt details page shirt.php in the singular form. Before we add any code to this page, let's modify the shirts listing page to link here. When we originally wrote the code to display the shirts, we put a hash sign here for the links. Let's change that now to link to this new shirt.php file. In the browser, you can now click on a shirt to get to this shirt.php file. The layout and functionality for these pages will be the same, but the data will be different from shirt to shirt. Right now, all that data is in the products array over in the shirts.php file. We need to get that same data into this new shirt.php file. What do you think? Should we paste a copy of that array into shirt.php also? By now, I hope your first inclination is no. Generally speaking, duplicating code is not what we want to do. We need to move our array out of shirts.php and instead put it in a place where these two files can both access it. Let's create another include file to contain our products array. Let's put it here in our includes folder. Let's call it products.php. We'll move the code that creates the products array over into this file. We'll then need to go back and include the products.php file where we originally created the array. Our shirts listing page is essentially the same as it was, but now we can include the products array into the shirt.php file also. The shirt details page will only display data about one shirt at a time. We can use something we've already covered to tell shirt.php which shirt to display, a get variable. Back in shirts.php, let's add a get variable of ID to the web address. We can give it any name we want. Let's call it ID. We can pass our product ID in here. For the red shirt, for example, that would be 101. That product ID is the key in our main products array. We don't currently have access to that key in our for each loop. The way we've written the for each loop right now, we loop through each element in the main array, one shirt at a time, and load only the value of the array element into a working variable. The product ID is in the key though, not in the value. We can modify our for each loop to load the key of the array element into a separate working variable using the double arrow operator. When we write the for each loop like this, we'll have 2 working variables inside the loop. One with the key of the element and one with the value. Let's make this same change to our for each loop here in shirts.php. After the as, we can specify the name of another variable. Let's call it product ID, followed by the 2 characters that together look like a double arrow, an equal sign and a greater than sign. This for each loop will still load the value of the array element into a working variable called product, but it will now also load the key of the element into a working variable called product ID. We now have that product ID in a working variable, and we can add it to the end of the web address using concatenation. Let's take a look at the shirt's listing page in the browser. When we click on the red shirt, it takes us to the shirt.php page with a get variable called ID with a value of 101. When I click on the black shirt, the ID variable is equal to 102. Our shirt listing page is now properly passing the appropriate shirt ID to our shirt detail page. Next up, we'll display the details for the specified shirt.